Congratulations, champ. You just fell for the oldest trick in the book. She clipped your leash, you wagged your tail. She dropped the act, ghosted you, popped back up just to check if you were still there. And guess what? You were. Ready and waiting like a needy little pup. You chased her? Oh, you ran like the mailman fleeing a pit bull. And you didn't even notice you'd become an extra in her little drama. Then, in a rare flash of divine insight, or maybe just sheer exhaustion, you stopped. And no, it wasn't pride had flatlined back at message number 5. It was because you finally realized pursuing someone who only wants to see you spin your wheels is like teaching violin to a lamppost, pointless and exhausting. Here's the cold truth. You're nobody's victim, you're a volunteer. The more you offer yourself up as emotional entertainment, the more she uses you as her ego's doormat. The trick? Disappear. But disappear with style, all right? No dramatic manifesto, no "I need space" text. Silence. Absence is the lesson she never saw coming. And the best part? When you pull a Houdini and vanish mid-show, she starts scrambling, because nobody misses the clown who never left the stage, but the star who drops out at the peak of his act. That one becomes an urban legend in her mind. Before you hit play on this ninja-level indifference move, a heads up. This content exists because someone had the sense to hit like, subscribe, and not play the emotional leech. So do the same. Tap that button, leave a thanks algorithm, and let's quit pretending emotional maturity is optional. No fluff, no drama. Learn to be the guy she actually misses, not the one she uses to kill time. Number 1. Who is the hard-to-get woman? She doesn't kick down doors or stage scenes. She slides in like she's got nothing to prove. That mysterious look like she's read every self-help book for women, and now she's queen of the emotional chessboard. At first, it's all sweet. Good talk, giggles, hints that maybe you're different. Then, boom, the horror show begins. Replies only when Mercury is in retrograde, disappearances more frequent than app updates, and jokes that feel more like emotional endurance tests. She's not just selective, she's a strategist, the CEO of emotional control. She doesn't want affection, she wants dominance. She needs to see you anxious, pacing like a hamster on its good morning ghoster wheel. Her fuel, your insecurity, her energy boost, watching you grovel, digging for approval like you're drilling asphalt with a teaspoon. And you know what? It works. Because Mr. Nice Guy gulps any crumb of attention like it's a feast. The moment she sends a heart after ignoring 3 texts, he thinks he's back in the game. Little does he know, it's her board game, and he's the disposable piece. She measures your desperation with surgical precision, testing your limits till you're a puddle of self-esteem. And if you cross the line of dignity to prove it's worth it, congrats. You've become her toy. Toys that grow boring get tossed into the drawer. No tears, no goodbye note. But the high-value man? He doesn't dance to her off-key tune. He watches half the show, calls her bluff, straightens his shirt, waves goodbye without a second glance, and skips the credits. Because applauding emotional manipulation is the mark of an insecure extra. He knows, no boundaries, no respect. Number 2, the fatal mistake of ordinary men. The scene's always the same. She ghosts strategically, replies on her schedule, tosses provocations. And what does Mr. Ordinary do? He reacts. Immediately. Like a puppy hearing the kibble bag. Not out of malice, bless him, but because he's been trained. Chase equals romance. Persistence equals interest. A 2-second response equals caring. Cute, right? Too bad in her game, it's just fuel for her ego. Every essay-length text you send asking why you got ignored, she doesn't think, what a sensitive guy. She thinks, look how reliable he is. Every attempt to set a date she never sees confirms you're locked on the leash, and you keep at it, convinced persistence is connection. But no, my friend, persistence to a hard-to-get woman is a certified proof of neediness. She doesn't see a determined man. She sees a desperate one, a predictable puppet ready to be manipulated by each disappearance. Because to her, the more available you are, the less you're worth. She doesn't want certainty. She wants the chase. She wants to know you might walk away any second. But Mr. Ordinary, oh, he wraps it all in a neat little bow. Instant replies, excuses accepted, red flags covered, and he calls it love. He erases himself trying to earn crumbs. And in the end, he becomes the welcome mat. When you bend over backward pleasing someone who couldn't care less, you're basically shouting, "Please, use me as your emotional staircase." And she does. Guilt-free because you volunteered. Then one day you wake up in a one-sided relationship where only one of you gives, explains, and burns out. And that one is you. Always you. But don't panic, salvation starts the moment you stop reacting like a wind-up toy. When you realize that key silence is louder than any speech. That not replying is worth 20 explanations. When you get that, you don't have to prove your worth to someone who won't even show respect. That's when the game flips. But it only flips when you ditch the extra role and stop replaying the same emotional script. Number 3. Silence that screams. Why absence hurts so bad. When you finally quit playing the emotional jester, stop reacting, stop explaining each gourmet ghost, something magical happens. Not in your world, in hers. You create silence, but not just any silence. It's an echo, a void, a hole in the ego that floated on the certainty you'd always be there as her dutiful extra. She, the mastermind of mind games and dramatic vanishings, finds herself without an audience, without applause, without her spotlight. And what was power becomes doubt, because silence has no subtitles, no fights, no demands, no tears, just nothing. And nothing, for someone who lives on control, is a hell with bad Wi-Fi. She starts wondering, did he tire out? Did he find someone else? Did I go too far? And miracle of miracles, for the first time she's the one puzzled, because mystery is a lethal weapon. When you vanish unannounced, you don't just become absence, you become an enigma, and humans love emotional puzzles, especially those who thought they held all the pieces. When you argued she knew, he's still hooked. When you demanded answers, she thought, he still wants me. But when you disappear, then the story changes, because silence is not the lack of sound, it's the presence of something bigger, indifference. And indifference, my friend, is kryptonite to any manipulator. You said nothing, but the message rang clear. I'm not your plaything. I don't owe you anything. I'm doing just fine without your drama. Those lines don't need text. They echo in her mind every time she sees those double blue ticks. And no reply. Ordinary guys think ghosting is childish, that persistence is mature. Poor souls. They don't know constant presence to a player is a certificate of neediness. But absence. Oh, absence is the invisible tattoo shouting, I'm what you lost by overplaying your hand. And while she scrolls social media hunting for hints, while she posts cryptic stories praying for a reaction, you're living. Whole. Rare. Untouched. Because the man who masters dignified withdrawal gains something no self-help essay ever can. Respect. That silence. It'll scream every time she rests her head at night and remembers you. The one who never begged was also the one she couldn't control. Number 4. Punish without touching. The psychology of strategic withdrawal. Want to hurt her for real? Don't lift a finger. Don't raise your voice. Just vanish. That's refined punishment. It doesn't hurt physically. It hits where it hurts most. Her emotional control. That hard-to-get woman thrives on emotional theater, and you were her lead actor coming on cue every time she clapped. She'd throw a disdainful glance. You'd respond with an emotional bouquet. Toss a provocation. You'd scramble to fix it. Until one day, you didn't. You left the stage without warning, without a manifesto, without, "We need to talk." You just cut the lights, and she loses it. Because there's no script for silence, no ready reply for the guy who gives none. Her brain goes haywire. And guess what? Now you're in control. Not because you yelled, but because you denied her the luxury of a reaction. You didn't leave out of spite. You withdrew with the class of someone who knows you don't negotiate with disrespect. And by doing that, you stripped away everything that fueled her game. Attention, approval, presence. The audience is gone. And the empty stage? It only echoes her own failure. She never saw it coming. She expected drama, tears, the classic "please reply." Instead, she got your cold, steel-like indifference. And indifference, Senor Carlos, is the most silent, lethal blow. It doesn't show anger. It shows disinterest. And disinterest is the real end. No speech needed, no shouting. Just absence strategically applied. And when you vanish with dignity without losing your composure, you prove you're no hostage. You're the choice she forfeited. And the bitter taste she's left with isn't longing, it's a bruised ego. The shock of realizing this time, her game ended before the intermission. Now, before you rush back to talk and ruin it all, listen up, champ, if you're still crawling for pity like a kicked can on the sidewalk. Congrats, you've applied for a lifetime position as emotional doormat. But there's still time to flip the script. The link in the description is a digital guide that won't turn you into Prince Charming. It'll teach you to be the king who won't settle for a kingdom built on lies. Want respect? Learn never to barter your self-worth for emojis and empty promises. Want peace? Learn to value your presence like gold, because that's exactly what it becomes when you know when to walk away. Either learn to leave or keep begging to stay. The choice, as always, is yours. Number 5. When to deploy absence. Spotting the perfect moment. Ghosting on impulse is amateur hour. Real strategic withdrawal isn't a tantrum, it's surgical. You don't do it in the heat of the moment, you do it at the peak of clarity. When? When you realize the only thing left in that relationship is your effort. And zero reciprocity. It's simple. She ignores you, you vanish. She replies with contempt, you drop the curtain. She ghosts days after you suggest plans. Congrats, you're in the disrespect theater, and your role is emotional doormat. The hard-to-get woman isn't busy. She's uninterested. She's not testing you, she's demeaning you. Yet you persist like the good emotional soldier. Instant replies, second chances, forced optimism. Spoiler, it never improves. Because as long as you're predictable, tolerating manipulative digs, she stays in control. And worse, you handed her that control on a silver platter. That's where absence comes in. Not as revenge, but as a declaration of emotional independence. When you see that the only thing prompting her to reply is your silence. Guess what? You just discovered your presence was never valued, just exploited. In that case, absence is a diagnostic tool, an emotional X-ray. Ghost her and watch what happens. If she forgets you in 2 days and moves on like nothing changed, congrats. You just dodged an ego-draining narcissist. But if she feels it, tries reopening channels, rethinks her behavior, you just proved how valuable you were and how horribly you were used. The trick is knowing when persistence becomes humiliation. When continuing to try isn't virtue, it's self-abandonment. When your presence becomes an obligation, your absence must remind her what she chose to ignore. And don't fool yourself. Every hard-to-get woman feels the loss of control. But most only realize it once the game's over. And at that point, you choose. Get back in the ring or walk away in peace while she chews on her own poison? Do you want to be the man she respects, or the one she laughs about as just another puppy who begged? Number 6, the classy withdrawal blueprint. Vanishing with class isn't about drama. It's not blocking, posting shady Insta stories, then crying to a sad playlist. That's the extra's role. Real withdrawal is a fine art. It's leaving quietly and letting silence do the talking. Step 1. Cut contact gracefully. No dramatic statements, no goodbye essays, no Instagram polls like, "Am I being played?" Just dial it back. Stop sparking conversations. Stop playing the clown in her emotional circus. Miss a good morning one day? She'll notice. 2 days? She'll itch. 3? Her ego hits withdrawal. Step 2. Be the star of your own life. And don't fake happiness, live it. Hit the gym. Pursue that project you shelved, replying to her 5-second texts. Share your routine? Sure, but skip the cringe. Just enough to show you're not home sobbing into your phone. You ghosted because you chose peace, not because you ran out of options. Step 3. She reaches out? Great. Don't throw yourself at her. No, "I missed you," or "I was worried." You're not her concierge. Reply politely, but like you've got better things to do. Short, direct, no puppy eyes. She felt your absence. Now let her figure it out. Step 4. Never explain. She doesn't deserve an excuse. She deserves consequences. You ghosted because her game reached its limit. Perfect. She doesn't need a debrief. If she asks, just say, "I'm great." That will sting more than any sermon. Explaining hands her an instruction manual, and manipulators love manuals. Step 5. Don't step down for a smile. She's back. Awesome. But don't revert to old you. Missing doesn't grant her free passage back to your heart. If she wants you, she must climb step by step. You're not an easy prize, you're a limited edition trophy. And if she won't play by those rules, fantastic. One less mess on your path. Because vanishing with class isn't punishment, it's etiquette. Not escape, it's elevation. It shows the show only goes on if respect's in the dressing room. Otherwise, close the curtain, kill the lights, and let her applaud the void. Number 7. The reverse effect. When she starts chasing you, make no mistake, she won't say, "I missed you." She'll drop homeopathic doses of faux interest. First, a like on an old post you forgot existed. Then, a random emoji in the ether. A question like, "Still at that job?" As if she didn't stalk your LinkedIn. All to see if you're still there. That's the reverse effect. The magic happens when you do the unthinkable. Stop being predictable. You who replied in seconds now vanish for days. You who gave instant attention become a mystery. And guess what? Mystery bugs manipulators more than a slap in the face. Because they hate what they can't control. She tested you with silence. Now you rock her world with calm elegance. Her reaction? Testing if the trick still works. She'll creep back, pretending nostalgia, more like emotional auditing. Does my old move still land? Here's where most guys slip. She reappears, he throws himself back in, acts like nothing happened, treats weeks of ghosting as a phase. Result? Control back in her hands, cycle restarts. The difference between a valued man and a recycled needy guy is how you respond. If you answer with cold courtesy, no drama, no love-struck emojis, she'll feel it. Because manipulators aren't rattled by harsh rejection, they're undone by unwavering indifference. Heads up. The reverse effect only works if your absence wasn't a teenage tantrum. It must be solid. No drunken callbacks, no social media stalking, no cryptic stories. Genuine absence, steady posture. Life moves on. When she realizes your welcome mat is now a marble floor, cold, solid, unbreakable, her ego cracks. And when she tries to waltz back like nothing happened, that's your Oscar moment. Show her that needy guy no longer exists. That, sir, is the final blow. Stirring someone's pride without raising your voice is rare. Congratulations, you're a master. Reverse effect isn't revenge. It's proof you're no longer up for emotional puppet shows. A reminder your worth doesn't hinge on anyone's whims. And in the end, she'll feel it. Maybe she won't admit it, but she will. Because what's guaranteed and suddenly gone becomes unforgettable absence. Number 8, the trap of reunion. Handling the comeback. You played your cards right. You vanished with class, held the silence, kept your cool. And guess what? She's back. But before you tweet, "I win," let me stop you. Reunion isn't the trophy. It's the final exam. And if you flunk, you lose it all plus interest and compounded self-worth loss. That hard-to-get woman, once her tricks fail, doesn't turn into Miss Emotional Maturity. Nope. What looks like genuine return is often the ultimate test. The "hey stranger," the sexy story post, the out-of-context message, it's all a trap dressed as longing. She wants to see, are you still controllable? If you bite, send hearts. Respond like a golden retriever greeting its owner. Bam, you're back to square one. Worse, now she knows she can ghost you for weeks and still regain power with a few keystrokes and a wink. Treat reunion like a minefield. No, glad you're back. No, I missed you. You're no extra in a telenovela. It's time for observation. Listen more. Talk less. Watch her moves. Don't react. Because now she has to prove something. She needs to show she got the message, that your absence stung, that disrespect cost dearly. You must stay ice cold. Don't open up like a picture book. Be an enigma, emotional natural selection. Don't resume sweet talk as if betrayal never happened. You're no fool, and now's your chance to prove it. If she tries the same old trick sarcasm, games, hidden irony easy, open door, clear path. A man of worth may grant second chances, but never be disrespected twice by the same cheap script. Remember, reunion reconciliation. It's emotional audit. And if you cave too quickly, you're rehired out of pity not merit. Now she must earn it. Your time, your attention, your presence. If she can't meet those terms, let her stay stuck in her games. Number 9. When absence becomes permanent disdain. There comes a point it's no longer strategy, it's liberation. Absence isn't a tactical pause, it's the silent goodbye. And no, it's not vengeance, it's clarity, it's lucidity. It's realizing you've been fighting for something doomed from the start. A connection where her ego is king and you were disposable. She didn't want love, she wanted an audience. Not a partnership, but submission wrapped in devotion. And in the delusion of being understood, you offered yourself as emotional slave. Until you realized nothing's going to change. She doesn't want change, because emotional games don't seek balance, they seek power. Here's the breaking point. Definitive disdain. You erase contact not out of anger, but complete disinterest. Indifference becomes your language. You don't want replies, returns, or explanations. Everything you needed to know is clear. It's not worth it. And the beauty of this withdrawal. No warning. No, we need to talk. No sad farewell. Just a clean, sharp, silent exit. So silent the void does the screaming. And she feels it. Oh, she does. Because the guy who ghosted to teach a lesson still left the door ajar. But the one who ghosts from disdain, he never looks back, not even out of nostalgia. Let's face it, missing someone without respect is charity. And you don't accept charity. Will she hunt you down? Maybe. Will she beg to reconnect? Possibly. Will she realize what she lost? Probably. But it'll be too late. Because permanent disdain means you're not coming back. No crawling, no vows. Because now you've sealed the deal. Respect above all. You didn't err by leaving. You saved yourself. And anyone who failed to value you will now live with the echo of a presence that's never coming home. A silence that became a verdict. A disdain you don't broadcast, but you uphold. Number 10. Long-term gains of being a man who masters withdrawal. Once you learn to walk away at the right moment, it's not just your dignity that survives, it's your life that levels up. You stop living on "who'll notice me today" mode and start living like a man who knows what he wants and what he absolutely won't tolerate. Disappearing stops being a tactic. It becomes instinct. A presence you don't grant to those who can't appreciate it. Attention turns from freebie to luxury. And then, my friend, you stop chasing hard to get women, and they start chasing you. Because mature women don't play silent games, they communicate. Emotionally stable women don't test boundaries, they respect them. That kind of woman feels your strength before you even speak. Because a man with principles doesn't need to shout, his presence speaks volumes. And players, they run. They know, with you, their tricks don't stick. You no longer beg for attention. You choose where to invest. You fear loneliness less. You fear getting lost in hollow relationships more. That rebuilds your self-esteem faster than any motivational essay ever could. You look in the mirror and see someone who knows his worth and acts accordingly. More than that, you develop an emotional radar. You sense manipulation at first drop. You spot the game before the first jab. You don't collapse. You don't panic. You refuse to fuel the circus. While other guys still wonder if she's busy or just not interested, you're already living finding peace, building real connections with those who don't need tests to know how they feel. Being the man who knows how to withdraw is more than a survival strategy. It's a life philosophy. It says, by action, not words, that your energy is finite, and you won't waste it on anyone who mistakes games for depth. It shows your value isn't tied to external validation, and your absence is the greatest gift a childish woman can receive. Number 11. Being remembered without being present. You don't have to show up to be unforgettable. You have to be remarkable. And being remarkable isn't about over-the-top gestures or constant availability. It's about what you stand for. A man who knows his worth doesn't need to shove himself in anyone's face to be noticed. He knows absence, when wielded right, is stronger than forced presence. Presence without respect is convenience. And convenience is the opposite of admiration. A hard-to-get woman hoards flatterers like keychains, always around but none with real value. The one who vanished without tears, threats, or pleas, that one stays. Because she couldn't dominate him. And what can't be dominated becomes fascination. When you vanish with style, not running away but withdrawing with conviction, you become a memory. An uncomfortable one, I might add. Because unlike those who were always available, you were the one bold enough to say without words, "My peace is worth more than your drama." That memory cuts. It corrodes. Because no woman forgets the man who left at the peak, not out of weakness, but out of strength. Consciously. With purpose. With standards. You became the exception. The what if. The name that no longer pops up in notifications, but echoes in the mind. And don't confuse this with coldness. It's emotional authority. It's knowing not every gap needs filling. Not every poke deserves a response. And that true impact isn't measured by how often you appear, but by how strongly you're remembered when you vanish. Being remembered without being there is the crowning achievement of a man who owes no one anything. Because he's already conquered the toughest challenge, proving to himself he matters.